Sutra 39. Mahat sangastu durlabho gamyo moghascha. The association of great souls is rarely obtained and recognized, yet it is infallible. The Srimad Bhagavatam 11.12.1-2 describes the benefits of association. Neither yoga, nor intellectual analysis, nor austerity, nor scriptural study, nor renunciation, nor social service can bring the Lord under control, as the company of true devotees can. Once Sage Vishwamitra asked Sage Vashisht about the glory of devotee association. Vashisht confessed his ignorance, but took Vishwamitra to the Serpent King, Balram, the most intimate devotee of the Lord, who at the time was bearing the whole earth on his head to prevent it from falling. Balram said he was happy to reveal the glories of devotee association if someone was able to take the burden of bearing this weight from him. Vishwamitra offered the fruit of all the austerities he had performed for thousands of years to the Lord, in return for strength to relieve Balram of his duty. When earth was transferred to Vishwamitra's head, the sage found he was unable to endure it even for a small fraction of time. He immediately transferred it back to Balram. Thereafter, Sage Vashisht offered the entire fruit of his present association, the noble company of Balram, to Krishna himself. The planet nestled on his head firmly and with ease. At the request of Vishwamitra, Balram happily explained to Vishwamitra that he had just experienced the power of devotee association. The austerities Vishwamitra had performed for thousands of years could not rival the benediction received from the shortest time spent in the association of a pure devotee. The value of a single moment's company with a devotee of the Lord is incomparable to the pleasure of the material heavens or liberation. What to speak of worldly pleasures? Srimad Bhagavatam 1.18.13. The first portion of this aphorism, the association of great souls is rarely obtained, can have two meanings. Great souls are rare in this world. Vaisnavacharya was a spiritual master and the founder of the Pushtimarg school of Vaishnavism. Once, a devotee approached him and told Vaisnavacharya that he desired to feed 100 Brahmins. Vaisnavacharya replied that feeding one devotee equated to the result of feeding 100 Brahmins. "Then I want to feed 100 devotees," the devotee replied. Vaisnavacharya said, "If you were to feed one Brahman devotee, you would get the fruit of feeding 100 devotees." "Then I want to feed 100 Brahman devotees," the devotee replied. Vaisnavacharya responded, "If you were to feed one pure devotee, you would receive blessings equal to feeding 100 Brahman devotees." "Then I want to feed 100 pure devotees," said the devotee. Vaisnavacharya started to cry and replied, "It is very hard to find 100 pure devotees." But at the same time, great souls are not so rare that one should lose all hope of finding them. It is really a question of being able to recognize them. One should not assume that great souls can only be found residing in secluded mountains or deep in remote forests. Great souls are everywhere. But this aphorism is specifically stating that their association is rarely attained, because it is a nature of sinful men to find sin. Once, a sage took a new spiritual aspirant, who was a photographer by profession, for a class on the pastimes of Krishna. After the class finished, the sage asked the aspirant what kind of thoughts came into his mind whilst taking the class. The aspirant replied that throughout the talk, he was trying to think of how he could capture the speaker's beauty. Here, The aspirant was so distracted by his photography that he lost the opportunity to receive the nectar. An inclination towards devotion to the Lord blossoms only when one associates with the right devotees. There is always a danger that one may take the shelter of a spiritual guide who is not suitable. In this instance, Narad forewarns aspirants to choose the association of true devotees. Association of great souls gives Sadgati, which is translated by Jiva Goswami in the Bhakti Sandarbh, section 179. The word Sad refers to the sages, and Gati means a vision of the Lord within the heart and mind. This means that the Lord manifests wherever sages gather. A tendency towards devotion is awakened in people who gather there, for the Lord appears wherever sages are found. Even though devotee association can give devotion, not all souls receive the benefits of this due to repeated offences committed by them. Offences block the blessings from good association. Certain people repeatedly cause offences, and as a result they become disrespectful towards devotees, or consider them to be ordinary people. Even though the association of devotees has the power to center people towards the awareness of the Lord, this counterproductive behavior on the part of the person committing offences needs to be changed first. Those who divert their minds away from the Lord by repeatedly committing offences are not eligible for the grace of devotees. The Srimad Bhagavatam 3.5.44 mentions those who are under the influence of offences. The minds of those attracted to material pleasures roam aimlessly in the world. Such people cannot recognize those devotees who have realized your sweetness. Thus they remain far from your lotus feet. In a conversation with Maitreya, Vidur says, "Blessed devotees of Lord Krishna, like you, wander about in the world just to bless people who are sinful and suffering because of lack of devotion to him." Srimad Bhagavatam 3.5.3. Although there is a difference between the two previous Srimad Bhagavatam verses, where 3.5.44 mentions that the great devotees do not forgive those who offend, and 3.5.3, which states that pure devotees even bless those unfortunate persons who are not devoted to the Lord. The second verse is speaking about those who are unaware that they are causing offences. Therefore, they are eligible for second chances, whereas the offenders from verse 3.5.44 are the ones who know they are causing offences and continue to do so. These persons do not qualify to receive blessings from the great souls. The Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.29 states, "The human body is difficult to attain, and it can be destroyed at any moment. But it is even rarer to attain the association of great souls. Therefore, it is difficult for a person to recognize and associate with the great soul. Association does not necessarily mean physical association. Mere physical association of devotees cannot help anyone. Sages roam everywhere, and they can be found residing in the holy places, along with many other great souls. Non-devotees who also live there come into contact with these enlightened devotees all the time. But one can question how much of this interaction develops into a communion with them. In simple terms, if a person feels unhealthy, he may want to see a good doctor in his city of residence. He may need to see many doctors every day. To treat his disease, he needs to take guidance from a good doctor and receive treatment. Sometimes, to further improve his recovery process, he needs to change doctors after treatment has commenced. The path of spiritual aspiration is very much like this. One needs to remove idleness and approach the appropriate enlightened soul, because devotion to the Lord makes the heart healthier, and taking refuge of an elevated devotee can guide one directly to him. A man who continues to sleep after sunrise remains in the darkness of the night until he awakes. Here, the sunrise is an analogy for the association of great souls. In certain cases, this association does not have an immediate effect. Therefore, a man continues to sleep and remain in the dark. But he cannot remain in this state indefinitely. Once an aspirant gets the association of great devotees, he definitely attains their mercy, and in time, by the potency of this mercy, he will awaken, because this aphorism describes the effect of holy company as infallible.